All right, hello again, everybody. It is Wes with Pikes Peak Trades, and this is video number 2 for the week of trading that ended April 23rd, 2021. And this is the metals and miners video. So we are going to take a look at some weekly charts. We're going to take a look at some monthly charts, and we're looking here at the GLD weekly, and we're trying to figure out with GLD right in the middle of this potential bull flag. Is this going to be the place where we break down very, very bearishly, and that would coincide, probably with very little doubt, with a major overall stock market meltdown, or are we going to power through some of these moving averages here that rejected price this week, get it up towards the top of this, and give it a chance to get up and to get out? If you zoom in on that weekly candle, it does actually look a little bit like a bearish shooting star. Now, that is only a potential candle. It has to be confirmed with the following week's price action. So there is a little bit of concern here with the way that the metal price was rejected towards the end of this week. I think when we take a look at the setups in some individual names, mainly in the silver miners that I like, I am still thinking we could get some bullish follow through. But of course, because of the potential of what we've seen on a weekly basis here, we just got to be ready. And if you've been in this trade for a while, if you've got the diamond hands, as they're calling it, I'm sure you're committed to it, and you're probably seeing the potential relative strength here in the mining names compared to the metal. But I think you're also anticipating the potential outperformance of this sector, and that's what I see when I look at it. Is my projection, if you've been watching my general stock market videos, is that the stock market is going to continue to move up through the summer, maybe even into the early fall of 2021. And I'm seeing, looking at growth charts, looking at tech charts, names like SQ and Etsy and Snow. I would rather be positioned in mining names. I see the potential outperformance, and I'm committed to see it through. So, digging into some detail here from the GLD weekly down into the daily, you're going to see, I think we're trying to set a progression of higher highs, higher lows, which is what you want. We're just right here in the middle of this channel. I think Friday, we got a back testing move of the 8-day EMA, back testing the pivot support in between 165 and 166. And I have that potentially as putting in a wave 4 low. Now, if the weekly potential shooting star does confirm itself more bearishly, I think what we would actually have is maybe a retrace of this entire leg here from 161 up to just under 169. And then that would just put it right back to the middle of the channel again, back to these MAs. I'm not calling for anything incredibly bearish, but if that happens, we're just going to be ready for it. I try to leave some cash on the side in case I am able to add to try to catch some supporting low here at the mid channel and these MAs. But my primary count is that wave 4 low is in, and that we're going to be moving up over the next 2 weeks to challenge the top here of the channel. Into the short term, you're going to see that WXY blue in potential, potentially in blue if we need to move down. Otherwise, I think we've got a potential ABC, maybe with a 1-2. So as long as this low price here holds, so as long as that is about 165.78, as long as it holds, then I think we can shoot up here over the next couple weeks towards the top of that channel. If we look at GDX, so GDX here, GDX, the gold miners, stronger than the metal price itself. We moved up out of this potential bull flag last week. So as long as this holds, this confirms as a bull flag. Again, a little bit of a concerning weekly candle. So is that towards a shooting star? It got rejected here at the 50-week MA. We could see a backtesting move. We could also just see continuation up here into this pivot resistance. So the $39 area is where I would see some significant resistance coming up on GDX. So into the daily. So maybe a little bit of bull flagging to try to pull this back towards the 8-day EMA. I've got a projection that's going to allow it to move through the 200-day SMA up to that pivot, and then into the short term, it's like GLD. So if the potential of that bearish shooting star weekly candle does resolve itself negatively at the start of the week, then I think we're looking at a leg all the way up here that would trace in here a double zigzag, and here would be your back testing move. So there would be that breakout channel. If it needs to get there early in the week, we're going to know. I think that would obviously coincide with some weakness in the general stock market. Possibly that could be coinciding with some earnings disappointments in big tech, or maybe not, or maybe the general market around it holds up, but metals and miners do not. If we can see a breakout up and out of this smaller time frame bull flag, here you see those targets that are going to move it up towards $39. And I'm projecting, as you're going to see in my silver miners, that this could happen quickly. This could happen over the next couple weeks. Let's look at SLV here. And we're looking on the weekly chart. And what I see in SLV is I see some basing above support. So we have all of the important MAs stacked up. Little bit of a concerning candle, but again, it's a green candle. It's not a red shooting star. Could it lead to some early week weakness? Yeah, I mean it certainly could. That's what I'm suggesting could happen in GLD and GDX. So we look out though. The projection here is that this is just a staggered set of ones and twos, and so the bullish potential here just should be obvious from the chart that if the metals will get out and move, the miners that go with them are going to move at probably a multiple of a scalar. So they're going to be moving at 2x to 3x, maybe some of the juniors 4x to 5x of the price that we could potentially see here in the metals. Now, just like the regular stock market, yes, we have to leave in the possibility that this was a leg one down with a bounce that's going to result in a failure here, and we're going to see lower prices. Again, if you think the general market is going to top and tank, then that's the count that you're going with. I see that as a much lower probability count here. Let's move this into some smaller time frames. We've got significant resistance above in the 25 to 26 area. That was the area of the previous failed breakout attempts. Did we just see some bull flagging and some back testing here? In this case of both the 50 and the 8 EMA, and it held on Friday above. It pierced through, but held above and into the shorter term time frames. Is that enough support, for continuation within this wave 3? If not, again, we see the potential in blue of an ABC down if we happen to see resolution in a negative way. With just how much we've had to wait and how much this has attempted to break out and failed, I can't give you a high probability that we're going to see, a big breakout move this week. I'm optimistic that the wave count suggests that we could, but of course, it's been pretty frustrating. And the pessimism and the bearishness in this sector is very high. I look at that in a contrarian way as something that's actually positive. And again, we just have to wait and see. So let's look for some individual names. So AG. So I'm going to take you through AG, CD, FSM, HL, the big ones here that I think will set the tone certainly for the rest of the sector. And I'm seeing AG just putting in a 1-2 of what would be a minor 5 leg, advancing up to an intermediate 3. So you're going to notice that it was rejected here at long-term pivot resistance just above 17, actually closer to 18 and 17, pulled back, found support again at the 8 EMA. All of its MAs are stacked in the bullish progression that you want. And if I dig into some smaller time frames here, oops, that's definitely not what I want. We dig back into these time frames here, and I'm seeing a bull flag breakout backtest. Okay, so here on the daily, this is an inside day. Did we get an inside week? Wanted to check that. Some of these names we did. No. AG was down. Some of these other names we will see inside weeks. Inside day on Friday into the short term here, and it's just trying to get decisively up and out. So this is the main part of the channel. Here's a top rail to that channel, and it's coiled. So the bull count here is that this is in a coiled move. Okay. So potential of an inverse head and shoulder. So here's the left shoulder, here's the right. You've got the neckline running through these prices almost at 18. If you add, so the depth of the head from the neck, and you add that here, you are going to get to this target. So that's some nice confluence along with some pivot resistance that if we're going to see resolution in something like AG, it's going to happen quickly. It reports its earnings here on May 6th. The other names here have already reported. We could see a run up over the next 2 weeks. We could see the run. If we get this bullish resolution, I think we could see a big run and then maybe some cooling off along with the rest of the market at some point in May. I'm going to be showing you some monthly charts for the others because I just want you to see where we're at in relation to the potential breakout. So this is core mining, CDE. This is a decades-long downsloping resistance line. You can see 1, 2, 3 rejections, 4 rejections, and it's just coiling up in the potential to try to challenge it again. I have it within a 1-2-1-2 move. So from the bullish perspective, if it's gonna go, it's gonna go now. We're either gonna see it and it's gonna conquer it and it's gonna get decisively up over the rest of 2021 and then continue a bullish progression, I think, for another maybe 4 to 5 years, or we'll just see another rejection. I don't have a bearish labeling on here. The rejection would be that this is just part of some more complicated zigzagging down and it'll just reject and fail. But based on the progression of what I see in price, the stacking of MAs, there's lots of room to run. The coiling of the MACD, like I said, if it's going to happen, it's going to happen soon. Just look at that coiling right here above 1 diagonal resistance above the MAs. This is an inside week here on CDE. If it's going to go, it's going to go big. Now, I talked about relative outperformance. There is no growth tech chart that I would be able to give you where I could say with confidence in Elliott Wave that we could see a doubling, a tripling, a times 4 move. It's there in some of these mining charts. So that is why if I'm going to put some risk on the table, I'm going to try to put it into the sector where I see the outperformance. And this is the progression that we could potentially see something very powerful happen here over the next few months. Let's get into the smaller time frames because you're going to just see just that coiling stack. Now, if I'm wrong here, most likely what's happening in something in CDE is a longer drawn out triangle. So if I'm wrong, we could have a potential top here. We could have an A, B. This would be a C. We've got a D, and we're going to fail down into an E wave. Okay, so that could also be what's happening in Hekla when you see its chart. We've got, I think, consolidating support at the end of this week, just above support, above MA support. So I think that could be the propelling of the move in a name like CDE. I could see it running 30, 40, 50% over the next month. Okay, so this is again, this is the chance that I want to be in, and it's been frustrating and it's been drawn out. I think we're at the point where it's really going to be make or break into that smaller time frame. Like AG, it's got its own potential bull flag. A breakout absolutely would be super bullish. It does have earnings coming up here on Wednesday. So could that be a catalyst to get it up to these are really just typical fib targets. There's nothing outlandish as far as stretching of scale here. This move here took it up about 30% in less than in roughly a week. Could it go up another 30% in a week? It's done it before. It could absolutely do it again. Let's keep looking at some other names. And really interesting here, look at FSM. And you're just going to see, look at this coil, this consolidation at, this is its all-time chart going back a decade, right at the most important pivot that you're going to find, where it was rejected. We had a failed breakout. We had a rejection that led to a very bearish trend down, a rejection, a sell-off, a false breakout, a sell-off, and here we are again. If it's going to go, it's going to go. And did we just peak up above it here in FSM? It's just right at it. It's another inside week, just like CDE. I'm optimistic that it could be go time. Okay, obviously, if not, this is the location where it's going to get rejected, and if it gets rejected, then there's probably a chance that this has topped and P2 is going to go lower. Let me show you into the smaller time frames on a name like FSM. There's what I think could just be some consolidation above the MAs and above that level. If this is counting the way I think it's counting, I think it put in a very shallow degree 2. Now that's a low probability. It's not impossible. What that means is the bearish count on FSM is that 1 goes here. And then if we see those potential shooting star candles resolve bearishly this week, a name like FSM would retreat. And it would probably retreat here all the way back to test. Most likely here, it's 200-day SMA. On the shorter term count, you're going to see, look at its own bull flag. You saw that in AG. You saw it in CDE. It's going to be interesting. If it's going to break, it's going to be big. It's going to go either up big, it's going to go down. These names, they're consolidating, and it could be consolidating before a breakdown. But I am willing here to continue to hold for what I think is the potential outperformance. We're going to finish here with Hekla. Hekla with an outstanding month so far, up almost 12%. It is, again, look at this long-term, decades long. We're talking multi-decades here on Hekla. So resistance failure, a test, a massive bear market here from the end of 2016. So it tested, it hit it, pulled back, it's done it again. So is this like the body blow, and we're ready for the knockout punch? And it's finally, over the next couple months, going to deliver that knockout punch and get up and over these long-term resistance lines, and that's what the bulls are saying. And that's the nested count that I see in a name like Hekla. Look at that wedging move into what I've got as an intermediate triangle. I think a 1-2, I think it's out of that downsloping triangle line. It put in an inside week. Inside weeks in the direction of the trend can be very bullish, and I think it's got a long ways to go. So its own a bull flag potentially, just like the others, a 1-2 count, looking to move up strongly. And so here you see it. I mean, this is where we're at. We are either in the most bullish progressions that we're going to see for a while, in this sector, or this is just a sucker's rally, fool's hope, and that means the general market, I think, is going to collapse as well. I don't see a scenario where metals and miners collapse and the general stock market doesn't go with it. So I'm aligning this with my alignment in the general market, and I've said it before, and it's just at that point where I think it's ready. So I'm very excited to see what's going to happen. Are we finally going to see these resistance levels break? The Elliott wave counts are in, and as always, watch, project, monitor, adjust. Let's see what happens. along with the mega cap tech earnings in stocks, I think we're in for a very exciting week. And thanks for the likes and follows. Continue to interact on Twitter and YouTube. I hope you have a wonderful weekend, and excited to see what's going to happen.